F123 but in VR. Here's a quick review to help you figure out if it's worth investing your time and money in. This is the second F1 game to feature full PC VR support, and unfortunately for PSVR 2 owners, it's just not coming your way. This year holds significant improvements over its predecessor, offering enhanced graphics and improved gameplay modes. But most importantly, you're no longer going to feel like you're on ice skates, and the handling and control feels much better. There are also significantly less bugs at launch, and the game actually closes when I exit it instead of having to play whack-a-mole in Task Manager. The gameplay mode Breaking Point was last seen in F121 and is a very welcome return. We pick up the story with Aiden Jackson and that absolute egg Devin Butler, who is the most annoying antagonist ever. Then you have F1 World, where you can find all that usual stuff and expands on F1 Life from the 22 version. But in terms of this year's improvements, don't take just my word for it. We can also see a massive difference in the reviews on Steam compared to last year's steaming pile of garbage. And this is probably the best F1 game we've seen in a long time. But in terms of VR or the standard mode, which mode is better? So when you buy a copy of F123, you have the option to launch it in either VR or standard mode. And progress you make in one mode carries over to the other, so you can kind of switch and swap between them. I think they both have their own advantages, and if you're just looking for casual fun and immersion, then no other mode can really compete to playing in VR. By wearing a headset, you're transported into the cockpit, and it is really fun to look around while you're racing. However, this level of immersion does come at a cost. Playing in VR is significantly more difficult, at least I've found, than playing in standard mode. The UI is harder to see, and you have to actually look in your mirrors to see cars behind you, and taking off your eyes at the road at 300 km an hour can be very, very dangerous. But by far the biggest issue I have with VR is just how blurry and unoptimized it is. I'm playing with the Pico 4, and I tried changing all of the settings, not only in the game, but also in virtual desktop, and even using the USB and streaming assistant. But no matter what I tried, I could only get it to look like a PS2 game at best. I saw a couple of other videos talking about how good the VR was, so I thought this might have just been a me issue, but after digging around in the review section and various forums, I saw a lot of people complaining about the VR quality as well. So do bear that in mind. At least for now, it really doesn't look that good. Ultimately, it's up to your own personal preferences to choose which mode you prefer, and normally I am very biased towards VR. Hell, I've even played RuneScape in VR, but so far I've got to say I prefer F1 on my screen. Now, in terms of some equipment I would recommend, whether you're playing the VR version or not, is investing in a force feedback steering wheel. This is an essential tool to any serious sim racer or even just a casual racer like myself. The right wheel will add far more to immersion than the VR headset. It allows you to feel bumps and curbs, and if you get a snap of oversteer, you can catch the rears, and it is just one of the best driving experiences I've ever had. I'm personally using an entry wheel, which is the Logitech G923, and I'll leave a link in the description to that in case you want to check it out. Of course, you're going to also want to have a good VR ready PC. I'm rocking the Razer gaming laptop with a 4070. I would just use whatever headset you have access to. If you're specifically just wanting to play this game, I would not go out of my way to buy a VR headset just for F123. I really don't think it's worth it. And if you're using one of the standalone headsets like the Quest 2 or the Pico, it's fine. It's also one of those rare occasions where you want to be plugged into USB and you just turn the graphics up to the max it can handle. I will continue to play the VR version when I'm just playing by myself or finishing up the Breaking Point campaign, but anytime I go into multiplayer, I am definitely ditching the headset because I need all the help I can get. So to answer the question, is F123 in VR worth it?